Welcome friends. Today we will be starting with a new topic that is the pharmaceutical aerosols, which have various applications in both cosmetics as well as pharmaceuticals. These are also compressed dispersed systems which can consist of two to three phases with water, oil and gas or as well as surfactant phase. So as to help disperse the APIs in the excipients, and these aerosols basically provide large surface area because they can be formulated into vaporizable mists or droplets which can be absorbed easily, or they provide protective properties, instant protective properties. So these have a very useful application in the pharmaceutical industry, especially for targeted as well as instant drug delivery. So we will be looking into the various aspects of the formulation of the pharmaceutical aerosols in this particular discussion. So the learning objectives would be to understand the basic concept and advantages of the pharmaceutical aerosol dosage forms, to explain the key physicochemical properties affecting aerosol performance like the vapor pressure, particle size, density, to understand and identify the role of excipients such as propellants, solvents, surfactants and antioxidants. Also to classify different types of aerosol systems and their applications, and analyzing pharmaceutical formulation considerations for selecting the right kind of container, valves and the delivery system. So an aerosol or a pressurized package is defined as a system that depends on the power of a compressed or a liquefied gas to expel the contents from the container. It is something like a deodorant which we use. The advantages over other dosage forms is that a dose can be removed without contamination of the remaining material. The medication can be delivered directly to the affected area. Rapid onset of action, circumvention of the first pass effect, which is generally there with the orally administered drugs. The dose lowering is there, especially in case of steroid therapy, and dose titration to individual needs can be achieved by using metered dose or dry powder inhalers. It provides an alternative route for administration in case the drugs which show erratic pharmacokinetics upon oral or parenteral administration. The aerosol products are intended for topical administration for the treatment of burns, minor cuts and bruises, along with infections and various dermatological conditions. The various components of aerosols are propellant, container, the valve and actuator, as well as the product concentrate. The propellant is the ingredient which is responsible for developing the right pressure within the container and helps to expel the product when the valve is opened, and aids in atomization or production of foam from the container. The propellants like chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons and the HFCs, HCFCs and CFCs are basically used in the as the liquefied gases. These liquefied gases are gases at room temperature and atmospheric pressure, and they can be liquefied easily by lowering the temperature or by increasing the pressure. So these are basically gases at room temperature, but they can be liquefied by variation of temperature or pressure. When liquefied, the gases are placed into a sealed container and they immediately separate into a liquid and a vapor phase. As compared to fluorinated hydrocarbons, the hydrocarbons are flammable, less toxic, less dense and more economic, more soluble and chemically more stable. However, the compressed gases have little expansion power and will provide a fairly wet spray and less stable foam as compared to the liquefied gases. The compressed gases are used in products like hair preparations, ointments, dental creams, aqueous germicidal and antiseptic aerosols, contact lens cleaners and food products. Blends of various fluorocarbon propellants are generally used for the pharmaceutical aerosols. By varying the proportion of each component, desired vapor pressure can be achieved within the limits of the vapor pressure of the individual propellant. So, these are the physico-chemical properties of the commonly used propellants, and their uses, especially they are used for the inhalers or the metered dose systems. As with the fluorocarbons, a range of pressures can be obtained by mixing various hydrocarbons in varying proportions. The pressure of each individual component varies depending upon the degree of purity. So, table 2 gives you the vapor pressure of the hydrocarbons along with their chemical name, type, the vapor pressure which they generate at 20 degree, and the various applications. The vapor pressure of a mixture of propellant can be calculated according to Dalton's law, which states that the total pressure in any system is equal to the sum of the individual or partial pressures of the various components. Now, Raoult's law, which regards the lowering of vapor pressure of a liquid by addition of another substance, states that the depression of vapor pressure of a solvent upon addition of a solute to the solvent is proportional to the mole fraction of the solute molecules in the solution. So, this relationship can be shown by equation 1 and equation 2, wherein the vapor pressure of component A can be calculated by, or propellant A can be calculated by equation 1, and propellant B can be calculated by equation 2, and the total vapor pressure of the system when these two propellants are mixed is equal to the sum of the partial pressures of the A and B. Containers which are used to incorporate these aerosols must withstand pressures as high as 140 to 180 psig at 130 degree Fahrenheit. So, the containers can be classified based on the material which is used, like metal, aluminium, stainless steel, glass, and they can further be classified as tin, free steel, side seam, 2-piece, 1-piece, uncoated and coated containers. Tin plate containers are steel containers which consist of a sheet of steel plate that has been electroplated on both sides with tin. The thickness of the tin coating is described in terms of its weight, for example, mesh 25, 50 or 100. The size of the container is indicated by a standard system, which is a measure of the diameter and height of the container. The tin plate steel is obtained in thin sheets, and when required it is coated with an organic material. These sheets are lithographed at this point. The organic coating can also be added to the finished container rather than to the flat sheets. The procedure is slower and somewhat expensive, but a more continuous and durable coating is produced. Two processes are used for the development of tin plate container. One is the Sauerjonic system and the other is the Konoweld system. The Sauerjonic system is based on an electronically controlled resistance welding method that uses a copper wire as an electrode. The rounded bodies are welded and then sent to the conventional line, where the top and bottom ends are flanked as indicated previously. The Konoweld systems pass the folded body through two rotating electrode rings. The rest of the container is manufactured in the usual manner. The aluminium containers are used to manufacture extruded aerosol container, that is seamless. The existing pharmaceuticals are packaged in the aluminium containers, probably because of lessened danger of incompatibility due to their seamless nature and greater resistance to erosion. So, the materials used for making tin plate and aluminium containers for aerosols have been mentioned in table 3. Aluminium can be rather unpredictable, however, in that it is corroded by pure water and pure ethanol. The combination of ethanol and propellant 1,1 in an aluminium container has shown to produce hydrogen acetyl chloride, aluminium chloride and propellant 2,1 and other corrosive products. Next are the stainless steel containers, and their use is limited to smaller sizes owing to production problems as well as cost. They are extremely strong and resistant to most materials. They are used for inhalation aerosols. The glass containers are also used for a large number of aerosol products. These are available with or without plastic coating. The plastic coating may be totally adhered except at the neck ring or non-adhered and vented. The glass aerosol containers are preferable from a compatibility viewpoint since corrosion problems are not there. The use of glass also allows for a greater degree of freedom in the design of the container. Next part of the system are the valves. It is capable of being easily opened and closed, and in addition is capable of delivering the content in the desired form. The material used in the construction of valve must be approved by the FDA. The pharmaceutical aerosols may be dispensed as a spray, foam or solid stream. The need for several different types of valves becomes thus important. Continuous spray valves. An aerosol valve consists of many different parts and is assembled using high speed production techniques. The valve manufacturers adhere to relatively close tolerances during the manufacturing and assembly of the valves. Valve assembly requires following parts. First is the ferrule or the mounting cap. The mounting cap is used to attach the valve properly to the container. For use with containers having a 1-inch opening, the cup is made from tinplate steel, although aluminium can also be used. A single or double epoxy or vinyl coating can be added to increase resistance to corrosion. Ferrules are used with glass bottles or small aluminium tubes and are usually made from a softer metal such as aluminium or brass. The ferrule is attached to the container either by rolling the end under the lip of the bottle or by clenching the metal under the lip. Valve body or housing is generally manufactured from nylon or Delrin and contains an opening at the point of the attachment of the dip tube, which ranges from about 0.013 inch to 0.08 inches. The housing may or may not contain another opening referred to as the vapor tap. The vapor tap further produces fine particles which prevent valve clogging with products containing insoluble materials and allows for the product to be satisfactorily dispensed. Stem is made from again nylon or Delrin, but metals such as brass or stainless steel can also be used. Gasket like neoprene rubber or Buna N are used for gasket material. So, the various parts of the valve have been shown in figure 4. A spring is used which serves to hold the gasket in place, and when the actuator is depressed and released, it returns the valve to its closed position. A dip tube made up of polypropylene is used. The viscosity and desired delivery rate play an important role in the selection of the inner diameter of the dip tube. The inside diameter of the commonly used dip tube is about 0.12 inch to 0.125 inches, although capillary dip tubes of about 0.05 inches and tubes for highly viscous products may also be used. The metering valves are applicable to the dispensing of the potent medications. They operate on the principle of a chamber whose size determines the amount of medication dispensed. Approximately 50 to 150 mg plus minus 10% of the liquid material can be dispensed at one time with the use of such valves. The actuator is to ensure that the aerosol product is delivered in the proper and desired form. Specially designed button or actuator must be thus fitted to the valve system. The actuator allows for easy opening and closing of the valve and is an integral part of almost every aerosol package. Different types of actuators could be spray, foam, solid stream, and those which require special applications. The spray actuators are capable of dispensing the stream of product concentrate or propellant into relatively small particles by allowing the stream to pass through various openings. The combination of propellant vaporization and actuator orifice and internal channels can deliver the spray in the desired particle size range. A spray type actuator can be used with pharmaceuticals intended for topical use such as spray on bandages, antiseptics, local anesthetics, and food preparations. Foam actuators, these actually consist of relatively large orifices ranging from 0.0 inch to 0.125 inch or greater. The orifices allow for passage of the product into relatively large chambers where they expand and are dispensed through the orifice. Solid stream actuators, the dispensing of such semi-solid products as ointments generally require these actuators. They have relatively large openings which allow for the passage of product through the valve stem and into the actuator. Special actuators are required for dispensing of semi-solid products as ointments. Relatively large openings allow the passage of the product through the valve stem and then into the actuator. The aerosol formulation basically requires two essential components, that is the product concentrate and the propellant. The product concentrate consists of active ingredients or a mixture of active ingredients and other necessary ingredients, agents like solvents, antioxidants and surfactants. The propellant used could be a single or a blend of propellants, and it can be compared with other vehicles which carries the API. The propellant can be combined again with the active ingredients in a number of ways, producing products with various characteristics. Depending upon the type of aerosol system used, the pharmaceutical aerosols may be dispensed as a fine mist, wet spray, quick breaking foam, stable foam, semi-solid or solid. The type of system selected depends on factors like physical, chemical and pharmacological properties of API and the site of application. So, various types of systems are there, like solution system, two-phase, water-based system, suspension or dispersion system and a foam system. The solution or two-phase system is a system which consists of a vapor and a liquid phase. When the active ingredients are soluble in propellant, no other solvent is required. Depending upon the type of spray required, the propellant may consist of propellant 1,2 or A70 or a mixture of propellants may be used. A lowering of the vapor pressure is produced through the addition of less volatile solvents such as ethyl alcohol, propylene glycol, ethyl acetate, glycerine and acetone. The amount of propellant used vary from 5% for foams to 95% for inhalation products. When a spray is produced with larger particles, a decrease is noted in the number of fine particles, decreasing the danger of inhaling these particles and subsequent inhalation of the airborne particles. The system can be explained by the following general formulations. A water-based system is a three-phase system. The relatively large amount of water can be used to replace all or a part of the non-aqueous solvent used in aerosols. These products are generally referred to as water-based aerosols, and depending on the formulation, they are emitted as a spray or foam. To produce a spray, the formulation consists of a dispersion of active ingredient and other solvents in the emulsion system, in which the propellant is the external phase. In this way, when the product is dispensed, the propellant vaporizes and disperses the active ingredient into minute particles. Since propellant and water are not miscible, a three-phase aerosol forms, like that is the propellant phase, water phase and the vapor phase. Aquasol system, these are new systems allowing for the dispensing of fine mist or spray of API dissolved in water, which is not possible with the three-phase system. Since only active ingredient and water are dispensed, propellant is in the vapor phase and present only in extremely small quantity. There is no chilling effect as occurs with other hydrocarbon propellant. It is designed to dispense pressurized products efficiently, economically, using relatively small amounts of hydrocarbon propellant. However, it can also function effectively using fluorocarbon propellants. Suspension or dispersion systems involve a dispersion of active ingredient in the propellant or a mixture of propellants. To decrease the rate of settling of the dispersed particles, various surfactants or suspending agents can be added. Then the water-based systems are there. The physical stability of the aerosol dispersion can be increased by control of moisture content, use of derivatives of the active ingredients, having minimum solubility in the propellant system, and reduction of initial particle size to less than 5 microns, adjustment of density of propellant so that they are equalized, and use of dispersing agents. The physical stability of a dispersed system depends primarily on the rate of agglomeration of the suspenoid. The rate is affected by the initial particle size of the drug, which must be in the range of 1 to 5 microns. The exact size depends on the nature of active ingredient and intended use of the product. Various surfactants and lubricants have been investigated to control the rate of agglomeration. Such agents as isopropyl mestarate and mineral oil have been added to these aerosols to reduce agglomeration. Foam systems. Emulsion and foam aerosols consist of active ingredients, aqueous or non-aqueous vehicle, surfactant and propellant, and are dispensed as a stable or quick breaking foam depending on the nature of ingredients and the formulation. The liquefied propellant is emulsified and is generally found in the internal phase. Aqueous stable foams can be formulated by the use of total propellant content, which may be as high as 5%, and it is usually in about 8 to 10% volume by volume. As the amount of propellant A70 and A46 etc. increases, a stiffer and drier foam is produced. Lower propellant concentrations yield wetter foams. Non-aqueous stable foams are formulated through the use of glycols such as polyethylene glycol, which can be formulated as given. The emulsifying agents found most effective when they are used from the class of glycol esters, for example, propylene glycol monostearate. Quick breaking foams. In this system, the propellant is in the external phase. When dispensed, the product is emitted as a foam, which then collapses into a liquid. This type of system is specially applicable to topical medication, which can be applied to limited or to large areas without the use of a mechanical force to dispense the active ingredients. Quick breaking aerosol foams may be formulated starting with the following. The components of a quick breaking foam system have been mentioned in table 9. Then there are thermal foams, which were developed specially to produce warm foam for shaving. However, they were not accepted by the consumers and have been discontinued. It has been reported that these systems would be advantageous in dispensing medicated forms in which the application of heat is desirable. Now, the properties of aerosols are to be studied like any other system, like the physical, chemical and other biological properties. So, the first of them is the physical property, which is the particle size distribution. This affects the deposition in the respiratory tract. So, 1 to 5 micrometer is required for pulmonary absorption. Density and viscosity impact spray characteristics and droplet formation. Vapor pressure affects the force of expulsion from the aerosol container. High vapor pressure leads to faster spray release and better drug distribution. Surface tension, lower is the surface tension. It ensures fine mist formation for effective drug absorption. It is controlled using surfactants like Tween 80, Span 20. Chemical properties of the API, like the solubility, this determines the dispersion in the propellant or solvent. Further, the stability of the drug is important. It should not degrade or react with the excipients. Important especially for aqueous based aerosols to prevent drug degradation. This can be adjusted using buffering agents like citric acid or sodium phosphate. Oxidation susceptibility can be there. So, use of antioxidants like BHT can be done to prevent oxidation. API should not react with the propellant, solvent or metal container. Then the performance properties like spray pattern and velocity, which affects the drug delivery efficiency and targeted deposition, has to be evaluated. This is done using high speed photography and impact collection methods. Dose uniformity with each actuation is important to deliver consistent and precise dose, is ensured by optimizing the valve function and formulation composition. Evaporation rate of solvents affects the drying time. Topical aerosols, fast evaporating solvents, example ethanol, enhance the quick drug absorption. Residue formation after actuation can indicate poor spray efficacy and efficiency. So, it should be minimized using the optimization of the excipients. Excipients basically for dissolving the drug and ensuring the formation of homogeneous formulation. It helps in controlling the spray rate and evaporation speed. Solvents like ethanol improve solubility of hydrophobic drugs and enhance the spray characteristics. Polypropylene glycol are hygroscopic solvents which prevent drug crystallization. Isopropyl alcohol are used in topical aerosols for their quick evaporation. Surfactants are used to improve drug dispersion and prevent aggregation in suspension aerosols. They aid in reducing surface tension and ensuring uniform particle size distribution. Lecithin is an example which enhances dispersion in pulmonary inhalers. PAN 20 improves suspension stability. Tween reduces particle aggregation. Oleic acid is used in meter dosed inhalers to enhance droplet formation. Lubricants are also used to improve smooth function of the metering valve. It reduces friction and wear inside the actuator system. The stabilizers and preservatives prevent drug degradation due to oxidation and microbial contamination. Common antioxidants like butylated hydroxytoluene prevent oxidation of drug molecules, and ascorbic acid, they protect drugs prone to oxidative degradation. The preservatives for aqueous based aerosols like BKC is used in nasal and ophthalmic aerosols. Phenyl mercuric acid helps in preventing microbial contamination. Chelating agents prevent metal ion induced oxidation, enhancing formulation stability. These are commonly used in the aqueous based aerosols. Common chelating agents are EDTA, which bind to metal ions to prevent oxidation, citric acid, which also acts as a mild chelating agent, and pH adjuster. pH adjusters are used to maintain the optimal pH to enhance drug stability and solubility. This helps to prevent degradation due to acidic or alkaline environments. Sodium hydroxide, citric acid, sodium citrate are generally used for stabilization of the pH for maintaining the stability of the formulations. Thus, to conclude, the pharmaceutical aerosols represent a crucial drug delivery system offering convenience, rapid onset of action and targeted delivery, especially for respiratory and dermatological therapies. An understanding of the physicochemical properties and functional excipients is essential to ensure product stability, efficacy and patient compliance. The selection of suitable excipients and propellants must be tailored according to the therapeutic goal and formulation requirements. A knowledge especially of these ingredients is important for this designing of safe, effective and reliable aerosolized drug products for the delivery of ingredients, especially for the targeted deliveries which we have seen like respiratory and dermatological therapies, wherein there are various biological barriers which limit the bioavailability of the drug. So, thank you very much for your patient hearing, and we will look into the further aspects of other dosage forms in the next few lectures.